Welcome to Tale Trail. The first story is titled, Am I Wrong for Demanding My Fiancé Stop Teaching Our Kids Bad Manners? By username TA Bad Manners. Hi everyone, using a throwaway because I do not want this on my main, but I would like an outside opinion. My fiancée, Lola, and I have been together for 5 years, engaged for a little over a year, and we have twins, boy and girl, 2.5 years. Our wedding is in 2 months. Lola usually takes care of feeding the kids in the morning since I work early, so I never noticed this until recently. I took a week vacation from work to just spend time at home with my kids and Lola and started to notice something that bothered me. Lola has been teaching our kids bad table manners and sees nothing wrong with it. I hadn't noticed this before, as they do not eat this type of food for lunch or dinner or snacks or eat it all the time, so I guess I just missed it as I wasn't home, or she fed them other things on the weekends. This morning, I was helping Lola make breakfast, and then I got the kids ready while she brought their food out for them. As they were getting ready to eat, I noticed they didn't have forks or spoons, so I told Lola I would get them, and she said there was no need. I watched instead, and she gave the kids tortillas that she ripped into pieces, and they were using their bare hands to grab the food using the pieces of the tortilla. I asked her what she was doing and that she should be giving them utensils, but she seemed shocked that I was concerned and said that's how they always eat it. I told her that she was teaching them bad manners and making them think it was okay to just grab food with their hands. She told me they do that anyway when they have chips or grapes or tacos and pizza and listed a bunch of other snacks and fast food you eat without utensils, but I pointed out that those things are usually made to be eaten quickly or on the road, like fast food. So utensils aren't needed. She said I was being offensive by calling her way of eating gross and saying it was having bad manners. But I do think it's gross to see someone grabbing at food with their bare hands like that. She said she grew up eating like that and would always use tortillas to eat things like eggs or meat or rice or beans, and that it wasn't gross because she always made the kids wash their hands before they ate. I ended up giving my kids forks for them to eat, which they didn't want to use, which made me even more frustrated with her because now they're used to this. Lola has been really annoyed the rest of the day and wouldn't let me help her with lunch. And earlier she was walking around the house speaking to someone, probably her sister, in Spanish about me, and I'm starting to feel a bit annoyed. Am I wrong? Edit. Wow. Lots of replies quickly. They seem to be mixed so far, but I will add in that the kids can use utensils and use them with foods like soups or pastas, etc. I just fear that allowing them to continue using their hands will make them used to it. Let's read a comment thread between Opie and another user. A user says, "You're not wrong for wanting to teach them to be able to use utensils, but the way you went about it was terrible." And Opie says, "To be clear, they can use utensils. I just think that allowing them not to will make them used to eating with their bare hands, and then they'll try it with someone that can't be eaten that way, say soup or spaghetti, for example. They do use utensils when eating other things like pasta or soup, etc." Then the user asks, "So what's the problem then?" And Opie says, "I think it's bad manners and a little unhygienic." The user asks, "What does bad manners mean?" In this case, it just sounds like it annoys you. And unhygienic? They've washed their hands. And Opie replies, "What if you went to a restaurant and saw people grabbing at all the food with their hands and fists and shoving it in their mouths? Would you not consider that bad manners?" Another user asks, "Is your fiancée a person of color? Is it a cultural thing?" And Opie says, "She is not of color. She is Mexican but very pale with green eyes." Opie is voted an a-hole in the comments. Now for the update that comes 3 days later. Hello again. I'm hoping to follow all the rules so this doesn't get deleted or anything, but I wanted to post a quick update because I got a big fat reality check yesterday. I admit that at first I was annoyed and defensive that everyone was ganging up on me and saying I was racist or an absent parent, etc. However, surprisingly enough, it was the comments who were trying to defend me and somewhat agreeing with me that ended up changing my mind. At first, I was mainly focusing on the 2 to 3 comments in my defense, but as I read more of them, I started to realize that they were sounding racist or disrespectful, and then I realized the rest of you were right. And that is what I sounded like in my post. There were a few comments saying something like, "In America, that is not normal, but we are not in America," and hearing people say that to me while defending me was shocking to say the least. I don't want to be one of those people who goes around telling people that they need to speak a certain language or do a certain thing because of where they happen to be. I showed my wife the post, and she saw a lot of your disrespectful comments agreeing with me calling her way of eating unhygienic, and she said they sounded like me, which made me realize I was wrong. For those asking if I had never seen my wife eat like that. No, I hadn't, and I asked her why she never did even though she said she grew up doing it. She told me how a few months into our relationship I had made a comment about someone in a film being poor and weird for eating food with their hands. I do remember having said this, and it is something that I should not have said. She said that is why she didn't eat like that in front of me, but she thought I wouldn't mind if our kids did, as they are toddlers and toddlers regularly eat with their hands. I am doing a lot of self-reflection and have apologized deeply to my wife. She said she needs some time to think things through after seeing the post and my comments as well as everyone's comments, which I fully respect. Thanks everyone for your insight. Update 2 that comes 1.5 years later, which is titled, My Male 32, Fiancé Female 32, suddenly doesn't want to marry me anymore because of a disagreement we had a year ago. What now? Hi everyone. I've been with my fiancée, Lola, for almost 7 years now, and we've been engaged for 2 of those years. We have twins together, male and female, 3, and I thought we were happy. About a year ago, we had a small fight or disagreement about how she was raising our kids, but after receiving some feedback from Reddit, I was able to see that I was in the wrong and I was being incredibly offensive toward my wife. This was on a different account that I lost the info for, but everyone was very helpful, so thanks again. I apologized, and she seemed to accept my apology, and I thought things were back to normal after all of that. She seemed to be her normal self again, and we didn't argue or disagree about that topic anymore. In fact, we hadn't had even a minor disagreement for months after that. I thought we were happy. Well, we were originally planning to get married last year, October of 2023, but she ended up changing her mind and saying she wanted to push back the wedding a bit. I was a bit confused, and she wouldn't really elaborate on why. She just said it was stressful to plan a wedding with toddlers, and she needed some time, so I agreed. Well, she just dropped a bomb on me out of nowhere a few days ago when she randomly stated that she doesn't think she wants to get married anymore. This was heartbreaking to hear, of course, and I asked that we sit and talk it out. She ended up telling me that she doesn't think we are compatible after 7 years, and that she thinks we should go our own ways and co-parent. I'm devastated. I pressed for more information, like what made you realize this? And why now? And she basically said that she felt like I didn't really know her and that I didn't want to know her. I thought this was ridiculous. I know everything about her. I know her favorite color, movie, and song. I know her favorite food. I can read her body language extremely well. I do know her. We've been together for years. She said a few more things, and apparently, she's been thinking over our relationship since that fight happened a year ago. She said it was eye-opening for her, and that when I let her see the post and she looked through all the comments, she realized things about me that she had swept under the rug for years and blown off as one-time issues. She went on a whole spiel about all these things she had realized about me and how she didn't think we should be together anymore. I don't even know what she means. I think I zoned out for most of her rant because I was so blindsided and hurt by this that I was trying not to break down in tears. I offered to go to couples counseling and individual counseling, but she said it was too late and that I should have done that or offered that a year ago when this all blew up. I don't even know what to do now, and I think it's a bit unfair for her to put all of that on me. Just because I didn't think of therapy after a minor disagreement a year ago, I'm no longer someone she wants to marry? That's insane. I don't know what to do. How can I get her to give me another chance to see that I still love her and we can make this work? What can I say to make her change her mind? I'm so lost, and I don't know what to do. Edit. I think it might be a good idea to link the original post with the details of our disagreement, as some people are asking for the details and accusing me of avoiding the question, so the post can be found here. Edit. I feel that you all have given me a lot to think about and reflect on. Thank you. I will no longer be replying to comments. Let's read some relevant comments by OP. One user says, probably because she was trying to reconcile her conflicting feelings and trying to make it work. With time and reflection, she's realized that that incident you previously posted about, as well as many others, changed the way she sees and feels about you when all added up. It sounds like you didn't make a sincere effort to learn about and understand her culture, which is likely what makes her feel like you don't know her. It sounds like she's tried really hard to ignore her doubt and keep it together because there is love there, and you have children together, but she's realized she's only been dragging out the inevitable. You made racist comments about her or her culture, my guy. It's understandable that those kinds of things have the potential to fester and become looming issues. Even if you stopped making them, you were the type of person to make them in the first place, And she may have spent the past year wondering if you still felt that way, but were just holding your tongue. And Opie says, well, I did learn that the part of her culture that I insulted was just a way of doing things, and I corrected my actions. You're right that I didn't actively go out and learn every single thing about her culture, but she didn't bring that up either, so I'm not sure what I could have done. And the user says, you could have taken an active role in learning about her culture. And Opie replies, yes, but it is her culture, right? Like, wouldn't it be the default for her to be the one to teach me if I don't know about it? Like when you go to school, you are taught things by the person who knows about them. It's not like they make you go out and learn it yourself on the internet, right? If she wanted me to be more active and involved or learn more, why not help with that or teach me more? So the user says, yeah, but it's also a culture your children share? And Opie replies, well, I wouldn't expect her to teach our children my culture, so I just figured that she would teach them hers and I would mine. This is harsh, but I think you are right. I never really thought about how I was also being racist to my children, and that breaks my heart. Another user says, you need her to hold your hand with teaching you all of this? And Opie responds, I don't mean that I needed her to tell me what to do, but I just don't understand what people mean when they say I should have learned about it myself. It's not my culture, and she didn't discuss it with me. I didn't even know I was being offensive in the argument we had. Am I just supposed to Google, is doing this offensive to that culture for every action? So the user says, maybe she wanted someone to take an active interest in her culture instead of just passively waiting. And Opie says, okay, I think I understand what people are saying now. You don't think that is a little bit manipulative, though? I'm not trying to be malicious or offensive, I am honestly asking. Like if you had an issue with your partner or their actions, you don't think it's a bit manipulative to never bring it up and just expect them to read your mind or know there is an issue and fix this issue that they don't know about by themselves somehow? Or am I being naive? In a separate comment, Opie says, I don't normally zone out, I just meant I was in shock at that time. It was a big deal, and I apologized and addressed the issue. I didn't just drop it. I learned from my mistake and from being roasted by Reddit on the post. I admitted my failures and I apologized, and she seemed to accept the apology, and it was never brought up again. I did work to repair the damage, as I apologized and understood that I was being ignorant and racist, and I did not want to be that person. I realized that I was erasing and judging part of my children's culture, and I did want them to be involved, and I wanted my wife to keep teaching them about her culture as well. I will be getting individual therapy, and I hope I can make it up to her. Another user asks, do you think that coming to Reddit, which is typically a male-dominated forum, and deciding you were an asshole to her only because perfect strangers said you were, instead of believing your literal fiancé that you were hurting or being an asshole to her, contributed? Because I sure do. And Opie responds, I never thought of it this way. I had a similar realization in my last post, as a lot of the people who were defending me were doing so by sending me really racist messages, like explicitly racist or using slurs to describe people from her culture. Which is what gave me a wake-up call about my actions being wrong, but I didn't really think about the gender of the users here. Update 3 that comes 6 days later. Hi everyone. This will likely be the last post I make about this situation as everything seems to be final now. This one is made with my ex's permission, and she will read over it beforehand, as she thinks I am an unreliable narrator. First of all, we have broken up. She gave me back the ring even though I said she didn't have to, and she could pawn it and keep the money. She didn't want to do that and gave it back to me. I think I will pawn it myself and give her the money since she has moved out of the house. She moved in with her brother and his partner, who was actually able to get her a job where he works, and she is apparently starting next week. We will split our time with the kids since she said she was able to get shifts that align with my schedule. I have a pretty flexible schedule, but I just prefer to work the same days or times every week, so we will trade off the kids when each of us is at work. And we are going to split the weekends. We are going to get a custody agreement, but we talked about it and agreed to 50-50, and we are both going to be cooperative as I don't want to stress her out, and I do want to see my kids. I will also be brushing up on Mexican culture so that I am able to participate in things with my children, and I am looking to take some Spanish classes as well so I can communicate with them in both languages. I showed my wife, editor's note, this is a mistype by Opie, the last post the day after I made it, and she read it over and read all my comments and a lot of the other comments. She took like 2 days to do this. Afterward, she said she wanted to talk and asked me if I was serious when I claimed that I thought she wanted to break up because of the one fight about the food. I said yes, because I was serious and did think that, and she said she couldn't believe me. I asked her to elaborate, and she got very mad and asked me if I was really so oblivious to my own actions. I realized that I probably have been oblivious to my own actions, and that I've been selfish, and she blew up and said something and asked me if I needed an effing list, so I could see all of the crap I've been doing. I told her I would appreciate if she could communicate some of the issues, and there was no need for a list, but she said that a list would probably lessen the chances of me losing focus while she went on a rant. Ouch. But deserved. We ended up having a long talk about it, and she wanted me to include this in the post, so I will add it below. Note that these are just things that happened since the fight about the food. When one of her nieces had a quinceañera, I kept calling it a sweet 16. She said she explained to me multiple times that they were different, had different meanings, different cultural significance, and had different practices. She said I still called it a sweet 16 when I would talk to people about it or mention it. She said I also embarrassed her at the party because she felt that I was making fun of how her relatives were dancing. I to this day sometimes call her Spanish instead of Hispanic or Latina or Mexican. She said there is a big difference and me slipping up and forgetting is BS. When she was pregnant with the twins, I told her she could give them names that are pronounced in Spanish so that her non-English speaking family could say them easily, and also since they are half Mexican. We agreed that she could, so long as I could choose which name was final. She said that I have not held up my end of the deal, and that when we were at Christmas with her family in December, I obsessively corrected her family members when they pronounced our daughter's name, Elena, Elena, and kept saying it, Elena. According to her, I did this more than 6 times that night, and she stopped keeping count. I didn't let her feed our kids some Mexican stew she had made because it looked spicy. I genuinely thought it was. She said she told me she hadn't used spicy peppers, but that night I fed them something else before the soup was done, and she said I disrespected her and her parenting skills. She feels like she is not allowed to listen to her music or any Spanish music because I will complain or change the song. She said she can only listen to her music when I am not home. Otherwise, I will always change it within a few seconds. She said there were other smaller examples, but these are the bigger ones that she had already mentioned or brought up before, and nothing had changed. When I asked her why she stayed with me for so long or why she didn't mention these things more, she said that she's always had low self-esteem, and she thought that I was a good person or partner other than these things, so she always talked herself out of a breakup. But she was just over it now. The things she listed off really opened my eyes and made me realize how selfish and unaware I've been, and I know that I need to change. I apologized to her, and I know it won't change her mind, but that's okay. I just want her to know that I do regret my actions. I'm not going to ignore her or gray rock her like some people were suggesting, as I want to remain amicable for our children. I want us to have good communication, as I don't want our kids to grow up with parents who hate each other and can't have a simple conversation. Thank you to everyone who left comments, especially the ones who were harsh. Hope your unintentional insensitivity has caused pain for your fiancé and reveals your lack of awareness and cultural understanding. It's essential to recognize the impact of your actions, especially when it comes to your fiancé's feelings. Take this as an opportunity for growth, embracing change, and showing genuine remorse. By acknowledging your missteps, you can make way for healing and better connections with those around you. Before we move on to the second story, I would like to ask you to please like this video and subscribe to my channel, as your support plays an immense role in keeping this channel running. Your kindness would honestly make a big difference and would take care of my bills. So thank you to everyone watching this video, and now let's move on to the next story, which is titled, I had my promotion offer retracted because my boss learned I was getting married, by username Gracie Beaker. First ever Reddit post. I'll try and make all of this understandable. Posting this here too, as I don't really have anyone to vent to about this. For background, I am 22 years old, female. I've been working for a fast food chain for the past 2.5 years and have been engaged since May 2019. So back in January, my manager brought me into the office and offered me a promotion. She was relaying the info from the owner. The promotion was to become a shift manager at one of the other restaurants in my city. I would obviously get a pay raise, better hours, more consistent, and various other perks. I initially told her I needed to think about taking it, but I was definitely excited and enthusiastic. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting with her to discuss some questions I had about the job, what benefits, where I was working, training, etc. One of my questions was whether it was reasonable to request as part of my new contract to have the week of my wedding off in August. She said absolutely and would ask the owner for me if that could be written into the contract. Wednesday, I go into her office to ask about any new info or developments. She shut the door and said that the offer had been retracted and I would not be getting the promotion. She explained that the owner had decided to retract the offer after learning I was getting married and that a young woman getting married means she's going to get pregnant. She also said that if you were a man, we would not be having this conversation. Still am, absolutely gobsmacked. It's the first time in my life that I've ever felt sexism or discrimination based on sex in my entire life. I'm so effing angry. I've essentially now lost my job. Still currently employed there, but I have no desire to continue working there whatsoever. I feel utterly disgusting and somewhat dirty, even though I did nothing wrong. I love working there, and all the people at my restaurant have not done anything to me, but it's the fact that I would be working for an owner that's so blatantly sexist. I've gone and sought legal advice at an equality organization in my city and am waiting for a response from the person in charge. I've also opened a complaint in my company's HR department, who have asked me to contact the owner directly to understand exactly why I haven't got this promotion. They said that I or my manager may have misunderstood the reason why. Thank you so much for reading. Not sure what outcome I want from all this. I just had to get it off my chest. Too long didn't read. Sexist boss retracted my promotion because I'm getting married, and that means I'm going to get pregnant. Now for the update that comes 2 years later. So obviously a lot has happened between my first post on this and this one. So I'll do my best to summarize the past 2 years of my life. February 2020, had an in-person meeting with my manager, the owner of the restaurant, franchise, and a supposed mediator. I legally recorded the audio of the meeting. This part is important. I was very unhappy with the outcome of this meeting. Felt like no one listened to me and I was bullied by the higher-ups into making this all go away. March 2020, after all this went down, I sought a lawyer at a local union firm, who agreed to take on my case. Due to the laws in my country, Switzerland, my case was classed as a civil one, between two individuals, so there could be no criminal consequences, and my monetary compensation would be limited to 3 months' salary, as written in Swiss law. Between March and August 2020, lots of back and forth between my lawyer and my ex-employer, basically denying all responsibility, not wanting to do anything, etc. August 2020, again as per Swiss law, a mediation meeting was set up between myself, my boss, and the lawyers in front of a judge. The judge was purely there to help keep things civil if necessary. No say whatsoever. This mediation meeting lasted 15 minutes, with my boss lawyer refusing to budge. My boss didn't even turn up to this meeting. Since we couldn't come to an agreement, I was given permission to file a formal case, which meant a judge would hear my case and rule on it. Between August 2020 and May 2021, hardly any news from either side. COVID slowed everything to a snail's pace, so I was told to just wait while all the administrative cogs turned. May 2021, the big day. My case was heard in front of a judge, with witnesses called from both sides to testify and lots of evidence filed, from my side at least. My key piece of evidence was this audio recording, in which my boss and manager basically put their foot in it. The judge asked them both to explain themselves, with neither giving very convincing arguments to defend themselves. I stood in court and told my account of the story, staring my boss right in the face. Between May 2021 and February 2022, more waiting. I knew the law was slow, but geez Louise. At this point, I had put the case to the back of my mind. February 7, 2022, my state civil court ruled in my favor. I won. I took my boss to court over discrimination, and a judge found him liable. I won. I can't begin to describe how incredible it feels. I cried on the phone with my lawyer when she called me to tell me the news. It was never about the money, it was always about accountability and acknowledgement. I am so proud of myself for pursuing this despite the odds stacked against me. Discrimination is incredibly hard to prove. Too bad I had that recording LOL. To all those 2 years ago that commented and supported me, thank you. My ex-employer was found guilty of discriminatory behavior, as so written in Swiss law, and ordered to pay compensation. I know my story is one of thousands out there, with so many of them never receiving the justice or recognition they deserve. But I hope this gives confidence to others. We can do it. OB, I'm truly sorry to hear about the unfair situation you've been through. It's not right for anyone to face discrimination at their workplace, and it's understandable that you're feeling upset and frustrated. You showed tremendous strength by seeking legal support and standing up for yourself. The victory in court is a testament to your courage and resilience. Remember, you're not alone, and there are people who support you. It's okay to feel a mix of emotions, and you deserve all the acknowledgement for fighting against discrimination. Wishing you strength and positivity as you move forward from this challenging experience. Well, that's it, folks. Thank you for tuning into our stories today. If you found it engaging or have thoughts to share, drop a comment below. Your feedback means the world to us. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more content, and hit that notification bell to stay updated. Until next time, take care.